Would you like to see what a year of 3-yard quilts looks like?
Well, we're going to talk to someone who's done it. Hi, it's Fran Morgan.
And Donna Robertson with Fabric Cafe.
Today we have a very special video. We are going to be visiting with Emily from Terriblyrad. Now, Emily has her own YouTube channel and she's done lots of quilts and she's very talented.
She actually dedicated 2023 to the 3-yard quilts, and she made so many quilts.
So let's give her a call and see what she has to say.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
So good to see you.
You too.
It's so great that you took the time to visit with us today. Thank you.
Yes, I couldn't resist. So I'm super excited to be here and chat with you ladies about all fun things quilting.
And we're really excited about talking with you because we've been watching you.
You have done some amazing things, so we're just
Thank you.
impressed. So tell us first, how did you get started quilting?
Well, I come from a family of crafters and quilters and sewists all around. Both of my grandmas sewed. One grandma made quilts, one grandma made tablecloths. Both of my parents sewed. My mom sewed our clothes when we were growing up through like my prom dresses. My dad, even as a ventriloquist, made his own puppets. And so it's just always something, I know, wild, right? And so it's just something that's always been in my family. And so when I graduated high school, we had to do a senior project and I kept going around with different ideas. And I was like, well, I guess I'll make quilts and donate them to Shriners Hospital. And that was in 2006. And I've been consistently quilting off and on ever since. And probably the last 15 years, I've been really diving hard into it and fell in love. And here I am. And so I love it. It's just been a great hobby. It's been a great stress relief. And it's been so much fun. And
That is
so
awesome.
now I can't imagine my life without it. So as far as you ladies, how did quilting become part of your lives?
I could probably say something very similar to you. So I grew up crafting and sewing and doing every kind of needlework possible. So through the summer, Mom would come in and she would say, okay, what do you want to do this summer? And she would take us to the craft store and she'd say, okay, pick anything you want. We would pick a project. And then if we finished that project, she would take us back and let us get another one. And that was very exciting. So not only did she teach us all the great needleworks, she taught us how to finish a project, which was very important.
It's just half the battle.
And all of that was a little diabolical because I loved to sew and crochet and do all of these things that I taught them. And I learned when they were very little that the best way for me to have time to work on what I loved doing was to get them working on the same thing. So it was like magic.
Yeah. So then the transfer from all the childhood fun and all the many different needleworks that we experienced, there was a point where Mom actually bought the first sewing machine and she took me to our local Bernina shop. And you might have heard the story, I know I've told it on a live or something before, that I was remodeling my kitchen. I was saving money to get this real fancy refrigerator. And I was at that store and I ended up buying a sewing machine and used my refrigerator money. So that's actually like whenever I first seriously started quilting.
Yes,
So.
and Fran actually, well, I guess I did make the first quilt because I quilted when she got married. I made baby quilts and I had a real love of the quilting. But Fran, I've learned so much from Fran on quilting. I was always a garment sewer. And so it was a really different kind of transition. Even though I taught her how to make garments, she really got into the quilting and art sewing and things like that when she got that machine. And she just, I mean, if we were cars, she would have passed me and left me in her dust.
Well, I was young and experimental and I wanted to know all I could do with fabric.
Yeah.
Experimental with fabric.
So tell us, for you, what was your inspiration for deeming 2023 the year of the 3-yard quilts?
Well, 2023 kind of became my third year where I was like really going into YouTube and really challenging myself. My first year was 21, which kind of started as kind of the same thing, like a start to finish, working on finishing projects because I made a Christmas quilt for myself in March during COVID, and then I didn't quilt it until like the last tail end of November, beginning of December for myself. And so I was like, I need a finished project. So that was my 26 and 21. I finished a quilt every 2 weeks, start to finish. And so 22, I kind of did a little bit of everything here and there. And I was like, okay, I need a theme. I need something cohesive to get me through 2023 and kind of reel it in and figure that out. And I was like, 2023 3-yard quilts.
Oh.
So that's how I was like, I have to do it. Like the 3 was there. It made sense.
I never put it together.
It had to be.
Yeah.
And so with my fabric buying history, since I've been quilting and collecting fabric more so for longer than I was quilting, I have yards and yards of character prints and licensed prints because I would buy those going, this is cute fabric. I want it. I didn't know how much I would need, so I'd buy like 3 and 4 yards of things, not realizing a quilt really needs a yard, if that, for certain things. And so it started as a means to kind of use my stash that wasn't my fabric anymore because I've kind of transitioned into what I use otherwise, like different blenders and stuff. I decided, okay, I'll use these prints to become different things in these 3-yard quilts. And we have a local at our quilt shop that does, she has a charity that she calls Christmas Quilts for Recovery, and she donates quilts to the burn units and Shriners Hospital on Christmas Eve. So I was like, 3-yard quilts, so the perfect size, perfect fabrics. I've got a mix of children's prints, adult-ish prints, mix of everything. And so that's kind of how I created this 2023 year of the 3-yard quilt. And it's been such a blast to kind of almost feel a little like that movie like Julie and Julia, where it's like cooking through Julia Child's cookbook. I'm sewing my way through the 3-yard quilt book. So that's kind of what I kind of feel like now. I'm like, all right, well, who's going to play us when we have that movie role coming in the future?
Can we pick?
I know. It's like, all right, here's my short list.
That is awesome. So you touched just a little bit on your stash. I know that it seems like you just have this massive stash with all of the amazing quilts you've done from that stash. How did you just accumulate it over time, like you said, or?
Pretty much. It would be a little bit of, because my mom's a fabric enthusiast herself, and she collects a lot of cat fabrics, which is what I also collect a lot of now because, you know, my little mascot Trixie's running around all the time. And so I just love cute cat fabric. I love cute dinosaur fabric. Those are my two, like, can't resist nows. But, like, I got a lot of Disney fabric that I just go to the store and pick up some. I did an I Spy quilt that was all Disney prints for a good friend of mine. And so I would only need a quarter of a yard of something. But then I'd be like, but this one's cute. I could use it for something else and get an entire yard, entire 3 yards. And so I have a cabinet in my closet that's all, I comic book board them. So they're all on there and just little baby bolts looking at me. And so it's once my shelves all filled, I felt like I needed to do something with it. And just people being like, oh yeah, just donate it. Just throw it away. And I'm like, but that's good fabric. Like, it's still good for something. So Since you've heard a little bit about my stash, do either of you have a favorite kind of fabric that you like to work with, whether it's batiks or florals or solids or?
Well, I really have to say I've rarely ever met a piece of fabric I didn't fall in love with. You should see us slapping our own hands when it comes to ordering.
That is true.
But I am rather partial to batiks.
I also like batiks, but I have really kind of gained an affinity for all of the modern quilting, and I really love the bright, bold colors with the contrast of white or contrast of black. That really appeals to me personally, so that tends to be the direction that I've been going lately. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think florals are beautiful and novelties are gorgeous and fun, and I too have a very partiality to cat fabric. It's true. We've never met a fabric we didn't like. So I can really appreciate some of the beautiful things that are out there. But me personally, if I'm going to quilt, it's probably going to be a little bit more edgy and modern.
So how did you first hear about 3-yard quilts?
I first heard about them at the quilt shop I work at. So I work for Cali Quilt Co., who's both an in-store and online business. And they brought them in, and they'd have these books, and we'd been cutting bundles, and so just seeing different people make them. And I think I had made one like years ago that was just 3 1-yard cuts, and I didn't think anything of it. And then the more we started getting books in, the more I started looking at them, and my mom picked one up one time. And so I usually go towards like the tiny little piece things, like the Elizabeth Hartman patterns, the pen and paper patterns, like the little 1-inch squares and tiny little details. That's kind of what my usual draw is. But every time I looked at these books and every time a new one came in, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And it just all made sense to be a lap quilt that was easy, like could be done in a day. And I assembly line cut a bunch of things, and strip piecing is a total game changer.
Oh, yeah.
So what was your inspiration to start this 3-yard book series?
Well, I think it was because we were doing the same thing you were doing. We were trying to figure out what to do with some fabric that we have. Now, the difference is you called yours stash. We call ours inventory. when you have a fabric store, you have to, have inventory.
Yep.
So, Fran, you want to talk about that a little?
So it's kind of an interesting story. So the very first fabric we ever purchased when we were a new business, it was sale fabric, and it was very interesting fabric. So it was like on the clearance bargain basement. Nobody else kind of wanted it, and so we bought this assortment of really odd stuff.
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen. And we did some really cool, fun, creative things with it, I think. I looked at it and was like, well, we could do this, But then as we started buying fabric, and we had fabric in our inventory, and we were making kits, we had the problem as a shop of, it takes a 1/4 yard of this fabric and a 1.5 yards of that fabric and whatever. And so we always had these leftover bits of fabric. And so you came to me and said, can we design a quilt that uses equal amounts of fabric so that whenever we kit, we don't have all these leftover things. So we did.
Yeah. and we had 3 bolts each of 3 fabrics that Fran did her first quilt with.
Yep.
And we cut them into kits, and we took them to a quilt show, and by 2:00 the first day, we had sold all 45 kits.
That's amazing.
And we looked at each other and we said, maybe we have something
Let's
here.
do it again.
And that was about 200 patterns ago.
Or more, I don't know. I can't even count
It
anymore.
was 2008 when we wrote when Fran wrote the first 3-yard quilt.
It's awesome.
It's been crazy. Well, this has been so much fun. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today.
Yes, thank you so much. And I loved hearing all about you and how you got into this.
Yeah.
Bye. We appreciate Emily taking the time to join us. We had such a wonderful time talking with her.
And there's more to the conversation with Emily, so be sure and check out her channel, Terriblyrad. We'll put the link in the description below.
And if you enjoyed conversations like this, would you like for us to talk to other quilting friends? Let us know in the comments. Donna Robertson
And Fran Morgan.
Thanks for watching.